Now an hour and a half of Gaelic, including Munster Hurling, Leinster Football and the Ulster Championship in the Sunday game, introduced by Michael Lester.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday game once again. Well, just a week ago here on the programme, we welcomed the summer to Ireland. Well, we've had the monsoons in the meantime. But happily, all today's big fixtures went ahead despite very heavy ground conditions. On the programme tonight, we feature that Munster Hurling Championship semi-final between Clare and Cork. Later on as well, we'll be seeing how Laois and Meath fared against each other in the Leinster Football Championship. And we'll also be taking a look at the highlights of the Ulster Championship tie between Armagh and Tyrone. And Kieran Barr is with us as well tonight. Now, he's been watching that game between Cork and Clare. His analysis coming up later on as well. And we remind you again tonight about our phone lines, 01643 666. That's our Sunday game number. And those phone lines are open now. 01643 666 is that number again. Right, to our first venue then. And that's to a wet Gaelic grounds in Limerick, where Cork this afternoon were looking for a place in the Munster final against Tipperary. Clare were hoping for a repeat of the performance which saw them beat Limerick in the previous round. The commentator today was Ger Canning, assisted by Jimmy Barry Murphy.
Cork are in the fortunate position of being able to call on Tony O'Sullivan to fill the left half forward berth following his decision to reconsider early retirement. Another man who considered hanging up his hurley is Kevin Hennessy, but he's back also for his 40th championship match and plays today on the edge of the small rectangle. But missing is Teddy McCarthy, out with a virus. John Fitzgibbon is a most able replacement. Cathal Casey has badly bruised shoulder ligaments, but he starts. The full Cork team shows the return of Timmy Kelleher back after completing a 1-month suspension. Picked at left half back, thus releasing Brian Corcoran to wing back. And significantly, Pat Buckley remains on the 40 after an excellent showing against Wexford in the second replay. A difficult afternoon for these fans to contend with, a damp afternoon here at the Limerick Gaelic grounds. Gerald Loughlin, as expected, starts for Clare at top of the left. There was hardly an option after his match-winning performance against Limerick. That was on a day when Cyril Lyons also proved a match winner, hitting 2 goals and 4 points from limited opportunities. The rest of the Clare team is unchanged from that which beat the Shannonsiders in the opening round. On that occasion, Clare introduced 6 championship newcomers, and with the exception of the unfortunately injured Alan Neville, all came through with flying colours, while experienced heads such as Anthony Daly and John O'Connell gave the team driving leadership. Cork winning the toss, and they'll play from right to left in this first half. The referee crossing provinces and keeping with recent practices, it's Pat Delaney of Laois who takes charge. So in these very damp conditions, it's going to be a real level this afternoon as Cathal Casey starts the match up towards Ger Manley's corner. Manley getting onto it straight away, first scoring chance for the Cork man, and he's put it over the bar after just about 20 seconds. It's a very encouraging start for Ger Manley, for Cork, who take an instant lead. Young David Fitzgerald here, who's the son of the county secretary in Clare, Pat Fitzgerald. This one is targeted down towards Stephen Sheedy. Jim Cashman just gets to stick to it first. Cathal Casey goes up over the falling body of Owen Cleary, back on his feet again. Corcoran. John O'Connell waiting for the ball to come to him. Timmy Kelleher. Over Brian Lohan's head. Easy one for Anthony Daly. Declan Tobin lobbing it in. Cyril Lyons out there. Will he provide a handful this afternoon, or prove a handful for Sean O'Gorman. This is the Sparrow, Gerald Loughlin, looking for an equalising score, and he puts it over the bar. That's a great start. Gerald Loughlin just getting the better of John Considine and firing over the equaliser.
Well, it's very good play here by Gerald O'Loughlin, who was a super sub against Limerick when he came in during the game, and steps inside Jim Cashman there and scores a lovely point from a different angle.
Ger Cunningham pucking it out. Little or no breeze around this afternoon, but very damp conditions as Cathal Casey collides with John Fitzgibbon. Tobin without the stick, but he gifts it. Hand passed inside here to Cathal Casey, who seeks to put Cork in front again. Well, 3 attacks, 3 points, 2 of them for Cork. Casey goes into this match, who was a real doubt.
Good play here by Pat Buckley, who spots Cathal Casey loose inside him, and that's 3 lovely points we've had from playing this game so far.
Canon Michael O'Brien there in the centre, the team coach, alongside Gerald McCarthy as the team trainer. So Pat Markham, well able to hit a long ball, curling towards the left towards Gerald Loughlin. John Considine having to buckle down, getting some assistance now from Sean O'Gorman. Leaving the ball behind, however, Brian Corcoran in trouble. And getting away from 2 Clare forwards. Good clearance away to the wings. Declan Tobin, the Clare player involved. John Fitzgibbon still operating on the right half forward position. John Chaplin. Lovely cut across. Cunningham making a fine save. That was a wonderful sideline cut. Owen Cleary in there fouling Dennis Walsh. Well, it's a great skilled sideline cutting, and we've seen a lot of evidence of it in top matches recently. Cathal Casey is a renowned expert, so too John Chaplin.
Well, this is a very dangerous situation here for the Cork defence. A beautiful sideline cut, particularly in these conditions. The ball is greasy, and you see a Cork defender coming across Ger Cunningham here. That's a brilliant save by Ger. Keeps his eye on the ball and gets it away quickly.
Aim towards Stephen Sheedy. You'd expect a big performance from him this afternoon. He was excellent against Limerick, but Jim Cashman has settled down well. Shawnee McCarthy towards Barry Egan against Lohan. It runs on. Pat Buckley coming into the breach. It's 2 points to 1 in Cork's favour, and you can now make that 3. Pat Buckley's first score. The points all coming from play. That was a fine score.
Yeah, high dropping ball here from Barry Egan into the corner back, and it's knocked away. And Pat Buckley, like any good centre forward, is watching for the break and play. Picks it up one-handed, dodges inside the defender, spots the opening, and scores a very good point off his left hand.
Again aimed down there between centre forward and centre back. Shawnee McCarthy latching onto this one towards Barry Egan. Getting support from John Russell, but Egan's still there, causing a problem. Pat Markham trying to guide it away from Cathal Casey, but Casey was winning it. Buckley's just ahead of him, firing it in. And significantly, John Fitzgibbon was coming in there, top of the left, having moved in from right half forward. John O'Connell crossing the 65-metre line, knocked in towards Gerald Loughlin, trying to steal in behind John Considine and kept his eye on the ball all the way. A real pile-up, fired in. Cunningham making the save, making it look fairly routine. John Russell coming racing out for that one, colliding with Tommy O'Sullivan. Declan Tobin firing it back in towards Cyril Lyons. Gerald Loughlin really fired up for this match. And to show that it was no flash in the pan a couple of weeks ago against Limerick. It comes back out towards Jamesy O'Connell. Haven't seen much of the action so far. Blocked down by Brian Corcoran. Wasn't quite sure where it went. Back to Jamesy. Jamesy, tight angle, and just a little bit too tight. Second wide for Clare. Gerald Loughlin was wide a little earlier on. Fitzgibbon still operating on the right wing. Here he is now, looking for a score. Perhaps he'd be better off in nearer to goal. Len Gaynor there in the centre of the Clare group of mentors. And O'Connor just nearest to us. Tim Crow there as well. Stephen Sheedy trying to break it down for John O'Connell for Clare, for a Clare side trailing by 3 points to 1. And the umpire waving that one wide as well. So that's 3 wides now for Clare against 2 for Cork on this wretched afternoon, indeed wretched weekend weather-wise. Midsummer, more like the monsoon season. One-handed John Russell trying to keep Pat Buckley away from it. Conor Casey not showing any ill effects from the shoulder injury that very nearly kept him out of this match. Referee has signalled that it's going to be a free into Cork. There were some complaints from the Clare players. I've noticed in football matches lately that the 13-metre penalty, bringing the ball nearer to goal, has been in operation quite a bit, but not on this occasion. Barry Egan making it look fairly simple. His first point coming from a free, and that the first of the points to come from a place ball. The victors here, of course, with a date with Tip, beginning of July, as Shirley McCarthy batted that one down. Brian Corcoran staying back, minding the house. This is a 6th position for him in the last 12 months of this Cork team, right half back. John Maroney held. Referee having a quick word with John Fitzgibbon. John Chaplin. Another mighty one by Chaplin. Gerald Loughlin trying to keep the ball in play, but breaking it down only for the Cork number 2, John Considine, to come and take it. Taking it out of danger. Watching it all the way over there. Gathered nicely by Declan Tobin. Is this a better one? Yes. Declan Tobin, the midfielder, gets a second Clare point, and there are 2 between them. 15 minutes gone in the first half.
Yeah, again, quick clearance here by John Considine, doesn't get any distance into it, and Declan Tobin reads the play well. Steps aside his man, and Clare aren't getting much change out of the Cork full backline, so Declan, I think, opts for what is a difficult shot, but strikes it very well, and it's a first-class point.
Again, it's Tony O'Sullivan trying to make some headway from the centre of the field. Spooning it outside there for Pat Buckley. John Fitzgibbon calling for it, has it. Touching it across towards Germanley. Great pass, nicely cut out by Anthony Daly. Cork made some good headway, but this is a good full back this afternoon, indeed all season. Clare with a point to prove this afternoon. They were well beaten in a couple of league matches with Cork in recent times, but this is the championship and it really matters. Tony O'Sullivan low inside towards Germanley, and Manley has blazed it wide.
Yes, well, Tony O'Sullivan actually mishits the ball here, and often best goal chance scuffing balls that are mishit because it takes the defender unawares. It's certainly banking Germanley to bury that in the back of the net.
And the switch we were talking about and anticipating earlier on has been made. Barry Egan comes to right half forward, and John Fitzgibbon, not unexpectedly, is top of the left. And it's the man at top of the right at the other end who is most significant now, and that's gone across the face of the goal. It's a great save by Ger Cunningham from Jim McInerney. McInerney is disappointed, but Cunningham produced the reflex save. It goes for a 65.
Well, great catch by Jim McInerney over to me Keller, and races inside. Really should have buried this, but strikes it straight at Ger Cunningham, and a brilliant reflex save by Cunningham. Well, Ger, that was certainly a brilliant save. He's so big, Ger. He always stands up, never turns away from the player coming through, and he's a performer.
He's a brave goalkeeper. And has to make another save. Not as flamboyantly on this occasion. Must have seen it late. There were so many faces in front of him. In the conditions today, that was a tricky one.
I suppose the only thing you could say about Jim McInerney there, Jeff, when he was going through, I think it's always preferable to try and keep the ball low and don't give the keeper the option of getting his hurley to it, and Ger just stood up nice and big there, and maybe if Jim had kept it nice and low, would have skidded off the ground.
John Chaplin going for a point this time, but the tall frame of Cunningham is in there, and the goal is going to count, I think. It does. Clare get a goal. Ger Cunningham put under great pressure. Cyril Lyons maybe the one who touched it over the line. We'll see in the replay in just a second, but Clare have got in front.
Well, Clare will feel justice was done after Ger's brilliant save prior to that. In these conditions, there's always a chance that the goalkeeper will drop the ball. And here you see Ger has it in his hand, but just drops it, and the Clare corner forward comes in and knocks into the net.
I think it was Jim McInerney who got that last touch.
Yes, indeed. I think Jim will certainly feel he has a tone for the miss earlier, Ger.
Absolutely. So Clare go in front, and the game, we expect at this stage, should begin to come to something approaching life. Cyril Lyons. Now, so often after goals, teams come and get points. Clare's fourth wide.
Yes, indeed. There's always a chance in these conditions, Ger. That's why corner forward should always follow in. And Ger, when he seems to have the ball safe, probably because it's so greasy, just fell out of his hand.
Here comes Barry Egan, now in his new position of right half forward. And he has levelled up the match. Egan gets the second point, the first from play. Clare 1-2, Cork 5 points.
Yeah, again, Barry Egan now switching to the half-forward line. This is what he's so good at. Getting the ball in loose play, strikes a lovely point. None of these chances are easy today in these conditions in particular. That's a lovely score.
There's very good Clare support here this afternoon. Not as many from Cork, I think. I think they're anticipating a place in this year's Munster final. Will Clare deny them? That's John Russell making the clearance. Timmy Kelleher under it at left corner back. Leaves it behind, pressurised by Owen Cleary. Jim McInerney, the goal scorer, firing in the ammunition towards Ger O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin against John Considine. Considine trying to take it away from trouble. Hand passing it outside. He's given it away to Cyril Lyons, bearing it on goal again. And that's gone over the bar. But the referee has blown his whistle. And I think it's going to be a free out for Cork. Point does not count.
Yeah, we're lucky for John Considine here, who's slipping, actually gathers the ball and recovers his feet quite well. But under a bit of pressure, he just hand passes it out, doesn't look where it's going, and straight to Cyril Lyons. And Cyril, I think, quite right, the referee feels he overcarried the ball. 5 steps there straight away, and the referee quite right there to free out.
John Russell, centre half back, down towards Jamesy O'Connor. And the wild pull there across Jamesy O'Connor is going to result in a Clare free just outside the Cork 65-metre line. But 11 minutes to go to half-time. John Chaplin looking to give Clare the lead again. And it's again gone in, but it doesn't count. The referee says no goal. Cyril Lyons had whipped onto it, but clearly the referee felt that there was a square ball, and the goal doesn't count.
Well, again, it's one of these goals where it's difficult to decide where the players are in the square before the ball comes. That's true. We can't be in the square before the ball. Cyril Lyons doesn't seem to be in the square to me there, and that seems a harsh decision.
I'd say, if anything, he was just about on the line or perhaps outside, and Clare can certainly feel hard done by that looked a valid goal. But they're pressurising now, and they've gained a lot of confidence following that goal, and the chop down there by Jim Cashman is going to be penalised. Corcoran making his way back, but it was Jim Cashman who in fact was the player involved.
Well, it's always difficult to judge these situations on the edge of the square for the referees in particular. It's difficult to see the line across the square from here, certainly, but you know, when the player is following the ball in, it can be very, very difficult. I think it's hard for the slow goal like that.
In the wet today, the line has just been wiped away. Brian Corcoran backs to the wall situation for the Cork team, who were lording it for the first 15 minutes, but Clare have gained in confidence, and Cork win the free out. Foul on Dennis Walsh. Paul O'Callaghan has been introduced into the Cork team. Paul can play in a number of positions, and it's Timmy Kelleher who's coming off. He picked up an injury, and in the restructuring, it's Paul O'Callaghan who's going to go up to left half forward, and Tony O'Sullivan has gone to midfield alongside Conor Casey. Timmy Kelleher goes off. Shorty McCarthy becomes the new wing back.
Well, Clare certainly have had their chances in the last 5 minutes, and what has amazed me is that they've been striking from very difficult angles where they might be better employed in the conditions. When they get possession in the half forward, they let the ball in nice and low and try and get their inside forward a chance.
Casey takes it up somehow, and again a combination of John Russell and Declan Tobin preventing Cork getting an easy chance, but Tony O'Sullivan keeping up the pressure across towards Ger Manley's corner. Paul O'Callaghan calling for it. It's broken up there by John Russell, and it's Declan Tobin who lifts the siege once again. And the pressure is on the Cork backs once again. But Clare will have to be taking a fair share of their chances if they're to emerge from this contest with victory. Real stalemate piling up there about 22 metres outside, and the referee racing in. And I think he's going to throw the ball in. Surrey Lions against Jim Cashman. Once again, it's worth repeating that the conditions are very bad indeed. Much more akin to National League conditions than the Championship. But it's all a bit of a lottery, as I think I said earlier. Shawnee McCarthy now at wing back fires it forward, where John Russell is gaining in confidence. The centre of Clare's half-back line, and he's put it over the bar. And the Banner County goes in front again. John Russell from Éire Óg in Ennis, the point scorer.
Yes, this is a very good play by John Russell, the centre back. As I said a while ago, Clare have had a succession of wides, and quite bad wides at times, but this is the first class score from a long way out by John Russell, showing the forwards there how to do things, and just get inside the post.
Only 2 minutes left in the first half. Brian Lohan breaks it down to Anthony Daly, who's been absolutely magnificent for Clare this afternoon. John O'Connell dropping it the first time, ran straight into the challenge from Cathal Casey, gets it again. Brian Corcoran out there to deny Jim McInerney. It's got the makings of what should be a fascinating second half. It'll need heart and commitment to emerge with victory from Limerick. Jamesy O'Connor, Cathal Casey standing his ground, whipping it forward towards Kevin Hennessy, trying to get the better of this Clare full-back. It's Fitzgibbon, and he's tied up the match again. In nearer the goal is where John Fitzgibbon is so effective.
Well, this is what Fitzgibbon is so good at, getting the ball under pressure here, and despite 2 or 3 defenders around him, scores a lovely point with his left hand.
No significant wind factor, so it's the same for the two teams, and they go in at half-time level. John Fitzgibbon's final point there. Cork coming back strongly in the last 5 minutes. They went out of it for about 15 after that goal by Jim McInerney after 21 minutes, and at half-time it's Clare 1 goal and 3 points, Cork 6 points.
It's our heritage, a way of life, passed on from generation to generation, from father to son, working the land, raising animals, providing the protection they need. From Australia with 170 million sheep to America with 100 million cattle. And here in Ireland, farmers trust Pitman Moore to protect their animals. There's confidence in Pitman Moore, a confidence that stems from a great company which invests more money on veterinary research than anyone else in the world. And in Ireland, creates valuable employment in the manufacture of high-quality products to safeguard our animals, allowing us to live our lives to the full. It's good to know that our heritage and our future is safe in the hands of Pitman Moore, the world leader in animal health.
Up to £10,000 instantly, a chance to win $250,000 on the big wheel, and every week a new car in the auto draw. Stars and Cars, your very own portable game show.
Spot the ball and win tickets to the All-Ireland finals at Croke Park for 10 years. Details on special packs of Country Pride.
Welcome to Statoil. Statoil is one of the world's leading oil companies and the largest producer of North Sea oil. Statoil will be famous for providing quality fuels and superior customer service throughout all of Scandinavia. And now that we're here in Ireland, we'd like to wish all our customers and all our motorists, as you say so well over here, 100,000 welcomes. So here goes. 100,000 velkommen.
At Irish Nationwide, we have reduced our mortgage rates yet again. Irish Nationwide Building Society. We now offer you better terms than ever.
33CL. A great new number.
Salon time.
Heart can be. It's only a woman.
The rain continues to team down here at the Gaelic grounds at Limerick as the second half gets underway. Cork haven't made any changes at half time. Clare making one. PJ O'Connell comes in at right half forward in place of Owen Cleary. John Considine. Clare were first, or Cork were first onto the field for the second half. I think they might have had a fair old lecture at half-time to buck up a bit. Ger Manley. Manley claiming he's been held, but the referee is giving the free to Clare. Pat Delaney, who by and large has handled this match very well in very difficult conditions. Anthony Buckley will take, or rather Anthony Daly who takes the free. O'Gorman under pressure, Cork's full back. Shawnee McCarthy to Tony O'Sullivan. Pat Buckley getting there ahead of John Russell, trying to make headway, held. Cork at the free. John Russell, who's played in a number of back positions for Clare. 1 point from one free so far, but this was a long distance out. He puts it wide. Teams still level. They were level 3 times in the first half. Buckley. And again Anthony Daly reading the situation so well. He's like a sprinter off his blocks. Gerald Loughlin breaking it on, scored the first point for Clare, but he hasn't been a significant factor in this match ever since. And it's Sean O'Gorman firing it down towards Kevin Hennessy, trying to get more and more into this match on a tight angle, getting it well away from goal. And David Fitzgerald nurses it out over the end line and wide. We've just had 5 minutes of inaccuracy, 4 chances created by Cork, 4 wides. So level just as it was at half-time. Paul O'Callaghan towards Pat Buckley, just managing to get there ahead of John Russell. Bearing it on goal, going for the score, and he's finally put it over the bar. And Pat Buckley getting his second point. Cork go back in front.
Well, this is better play by Cork now because it's more direct, and Pat Buckley here latches onto a loose ball and strikes a very good point. But before that, Cork have had several chances and players have been shooting from impossible angles when they could be keeping the ball in play.
We haven't seen too much of Clare at the start of the second half. It's gone out of it completely. Barry Egan, it's blocked down there by John Chaplin. Egan again. In towards John Fitzgibbon. Challenging Brian Lowen. Fitzgibbon trying to make some headway. David Fitzgerald. Dennis Walsh trying to break it down. PJ O'Connell. O'Connell the substitute across towards James O'Connor's wing. Been marked in this half by Shawnee McCarthy. It was Jim Cashman trying to get in a challenge there. Now Gerald Loughlin. The star in Ennis. Made a better angle for himself and he's put it over the bar. That's a delightful point by Gerald Loughlin, his second score of the game, taking it on the end line, then making a better position for himself, and he ties it up again.
Well, good play by Clare here. James O'Connell gets onto the loose ball and doesn't go for the score himself. You know, it's difficult to score from out there, so he knocks the ball in low to Gerald O'Loughlin, gets inside his man quite well. John Considine just trying to knock the ball away from him, keep him outside him. Gerald O'Loughlin is actually looking up to see can he pass the ball to anybody. He scores a beautiful point from a very difficult angle. But
Pressure on the Clare backs again. John Maroney coming across, and inevitably Anthony Daly lifting the siege up towards Stephen Sheedy. P.T. O'Connell, Jim Cashman there, and a late challenge from Jim McInerney in there on Cathal Casey. Casey clearing the ball down. John Russell putting it forward. It's stopped by Jim Cashman. Real day for rolling up the sleeves and trying to do the simple things well. To also need a very big heart and a great deal of commitment to win this championship semi-final. McInerney feeding the ball forward towards Gerald Loughlin, scoring chance for the Sparrow, dropping it short. An easy one for Ger Cunningham as he dodges round Cyril Lyons. And that's one that got away for the Sparrow. Now Paul O'Callaghan, those long legs in action as he plays it across the goal, but Fitzgerald is equal to it. Dennis Walsh reading it well, lovely catch, secure fetch, played nicely across here. John Chaplin. Jim Cashman can't hold it, but it comes back from Gerald Loughlin to Cashman, and it's Tony O'Sullivan at midfield, down towards John Fitzgibbon. Pat Markham is back there, but it's Fitzgibbon who read the intentions, went out, got possession, and he drives it over the bar. Fitzgibbon has got another score, a second point for John Fitzgibbon, and Cork take the lead once again.
Bad clearance here with Pat Markham, just gets the ball out as far as John Fitzgibbon standing on his own, and quite an easy chance for Johnny, knocks it over the bar.
Cork have brought in Mark Mullins, who has just transferred from Carlow, so he comes on for his first Munster Championship match in place of Kevin Hennessy. So disappointment for Kevin on his 40th championship match. Jim Cashman. Mark Mullins is playing right half forward, being marked by John Chaplin. As that ball is kept going there by Egan. Barry Egan has a shot blocked down by Brian Lowen. Anthony Daly trying to take it out. They're all in there, competing for it. It's won by John Maroney for Clare. Well, it's a really fiercely competitive championship match. Maroney emerging from a ruck of players, sending defence into attack. It runs on towards McInerney. McInerney trying to turn his man, scoring chance, stopped by Ger Cunningham. Cyril Lyons unable to get it, goes out off the boot of Sean O'Gorman, outside towards Brian Cunningham, hooked that time. Ball kept well and truly alive by Jim McInerney, looking around to spot what's on. Nobody in there except Dennis Walsh, clearing his lines for Cork, and this the 12th minute of the second half. Declan Tobin, half blocked down, reaches a Clare man however. And the pull there is penalised, the pull of Mark Mullins, his first contribution since coming on, committing the foul, and Clare get the free.
Well, tremendous movement by both sides again, and Cork are lucky because they're half back line. Dennis Walsh and Jim Cashman in particular come to the game very much, and they'll need to keep going because Clare are certainly hanging in there and not giving up.
P.G. O'Connell going centre half forward for the Clare team. And this free now taken by John Chaplin, and John Chaplin has found the range for his first point, and the game is tied up yet again. It may be raining here in Limerick, but the crowds here have seen the teams draw level for the 5th time in the match. Ger Cunningham getting great length into it, down towards Pat Buckley. John Russell unable to get a stick onto it. Brian Lowen, however, gets the ball out, helped there by John Chaplin. Further out, John O'Connell for Clare. It's a good spell now for the banner men. Cyril Lyons hoping to transfer possession into scoring opportunities. P.G. O'Connell, their second half substitute, was partially blocked there by Brian Corcoran, who's out around the half back line once again. Sean Considine lets it there, and it's Gerald Loughlin who has the scoring chance, and Gerald Loughlin has put the ball over the bar, and the banner are back in front once more. A third point for Gerald Loughlin. The Cork fans silence, but the people who support Clare are particularly happy. 14 minutes gone in the second half. We said it earlier, the last time Cork were league champions in 1981, they went out in the championship to Clare. Will something similar happen once again? It's a long way to go. Tony O'Sullivan firing it in nicely towards John Fitzgibbon, the goal expert. back towards Mark Mullins. Mullins driving in there. Stopped all the way by a very committed Pat Markham. Ball comes out towards John Chaplin. Two great wing backs, but under pressure right now. And that's Egan who knocks it over the bar. Barry Egan getting another score. 3 points for the Delaney's player and 9 points apiece once again. Dennis Hurley there, one of the selectors alongside Canon Michael O'Brien.
Clare certainly giving it everything at the moment, and Cork are wondering how they're going to get away from these fellas, because they're playing with great heart and great commitment. And Gerard O'Loughlin again has been playing excellently at corner for them, getting some first-class points for them. The Cork need to keep very tight rein on him at all times.
James O'Connor has it. In over the head of Sean O'Gorman. Jim McInerney trying to make headway against Brian Corcoran. This is Stephen Sheedy trying to give the Banner the lead once again, and in spite of the best efforts of Jim McInerney, they can't keep the ball in play. And that's Clare's first wide of the second half. They were particularly profligate in the first half with 9 wides, so 10 in all now. Len Gaynor there with the cap, the team coach for the last 3 years. Tony O'Sullivan with tidy play, getting it back to Cathal Casey. Pat Buckley now, firing it wide across, came up the stick there of John Markham. Anthony Daly again. Not as flamboyant as he was in the first half, but rock solid at fullback, giving a display of classy fullback play this afternoon. That's Stephen Sheedy, seems to be bottled up, and Stephen Sheedy winning the free for Clare. It's at a critical stage of the match as John Chaplin feeds it inside there. Tony O'Sullivan back, making his presence felt in the second half, outside to Cathal Casey. Paul O'Callaghan. The reputation's meaning absolutely nothing in levelling conditions such as this. Cork going in the overwhelming favourites to emerge victorious, but Clare putting it up to them. They're level right now. 18 minutes gone in the second half. Dennis Walsh recovered. Down towards Mark Mullins. Runs on instead to Pat Buckley. Buckley a high one. Manley's in under it. Breaks down towards Barry Egan. And again it's taken away by Anthony Daly. What a star this fellow has been this afternoon. John Russell fumbling but regaining his composure and possession. Down towards PG O'Connell. O'Connell missing it, drags the ball out of the sideline. Jim Cashman says that'll be our sideline ball. It's particularly soft just under the stand here. I often feel that because of the stand being on this near side of the ground, that the wind doesn't circulate as freely.
Well, it's like Cork and Keith, just put an overhanging stand, and you get a lot of rain. That part of the ground just in front of the stand is always very, very heavy, and in particular the players trying to keep the ball away from there as much as they can, I think.
Not a fair shoulder to shoulder, shoulder into the back. Paul O'Callaghan committing the foul. Clare get the free. 19 minutes of the second half gone.
Well, here you see Cathal Casey knocking the ball away, and Paul O'Callaghan comes in here, gives a perfectly fair shoulder, and there's no way that's a free.
Clare making the change, and midway through the second half, Fergus Toohey, who played in the championship here last year against Limerick, comes in. He's going into the attack, and it's Declan Tobin who's coming off. Had a good first half, Declan Tobin. We didn't see as much of him, however, in the second so far. So 2 of the 3 men at the half-forward line for Clare are new. James O'Connor firing it in, the only one who started in that line. Jim McInerney turning foul, and it's going to be a free in. And a very good scoring chance now, as Cork also make a change. And coming into their team, the number 21, Ger Fitzgerald. So Ger Fitzgerald, who captained Cork last year in the championship.
Well, Ger, I think mainly because of Anthony Daly, who has really dominated that whole full-back scene, is having the game of his life, and I think Cork are hoping that with Ger's experience maybe he can create some chances in the full-forward line.
Interestingly, it's Ger Manley who's making way. I've been the star of the show in the conclusion of the league. Cyril Lyons, the free taker, should make it from this one, and Clare go back in front, leading by a point. On my watch, 12 minutes to go. Well, Cyril was near to that goal that Hugh McInerney scored when it was dropped by Ger Cunningham, but the Clare fans who came here more in hope in anticipation of victory. They're now in front at a significant stage of the match, but it's anybody's game yet. Tony O'Sullivan. Played down nicely here. Ball won well by Mark Mullins. The Carlow man now playing for Cork has rattled the side netting. Won an All-Ireland B medal with Carlow last year. Won a championship medal in Cork with Napirsig a few years ago.
Well, great chance here for Cork, and Mark Mullins after a tremendous catch going through the defence here. Clare players are not following him, keeping right behind him, so they're trying to hook and we're not giving him a chance to hit it. The kicks it wide. Certainly great opening for Cork.
We've had a lot of wides. It's been a difficult day to be a coach or a trainer or a selector. 11 wides for Clare, 11 wides for Cork. But Clare lead by a point. And it's PJ O'Connell. Knock forward. Jim McInerney coming in. Good chance this. And it's stopped by Jer Cunningham. And it's still not gone in. The ball has gone in the back of the net, and it's Fergus Toohey, a substitute, who scored it after a great save by Jer Cunningham. 24 minutes into the second half, and Fergus Toohey has scored it. Cunningham made a marvellous save from Jim McInerney, but Toohey was on hand to apply the finish.
It's great play by Jim McInerney, who gets inside the Cork defence here. You can see he's on the end line, but dodges back inside John Constantine there, hits it off his left hand. Great save by Jer Cunningham, but Fergus Toohey following up, misses the first time, but actually kicks it in or goes in off the defender, I'm not sure.
Well, it doesn't matter how they go in. Once they go in, and that's gone wide. Disappointment for Ger O'Loughlin. Well, the league champions are in real trouble, just as they were in 1981. And the men in blue here, perhaps they're from Clare, perhaps they're just happy to see the Clare men doing so well. Mark Mullins coming back for Cork. They need to score badly, and that's tapped over the bar off the goalkeeper's stick. It's a thrilling finish to this match. We may have had lots and lots of wides, only 3 points between them at this stage.
Yeah, well, this is very good play by Mark Mullins here. Just what Cork needed after giving away that goal, and knocks over that. Davy Fitzgerald gets his hurl to it, but only succeeds in putting it over the bar.
Well, Len Gaynor, his side 3 points ahead. And what would have happened if that goal that was disallowed for a square ball in the first half had been permitted? Clare the leaders. PG O'Connell coming for the banner men. He's made a real impact at centre half forward. It runs on beyond Ger O'Loughlin. Coming across there is Sean O'Gorman. If we praise the Clare full back, well, this one has been very good as well. Very steady performance. And Cyril Lyons has got very little from him. John O'Connell. Going into this year, John O'Connell in his last 4 years playing championship has never won a match for the banner. They beat Limerick, they're leading Cork, and it's Fergus Toohey trying to put this one between the posts, and he has put it wide. Well, the umpire was putting his hands up into the air, and it's 15 wides now for Clare, and we've had 6 of those in the second half. Jer Cunningham taking that lengthy puck out over the head of John Russell, is pressurised by Mark Mullins, the centre half forward now. And Referee signalling that it's going to be a free to Clare. Up towards Ger O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin coming across the face of the goal there, trying to make a scoring chance for himself, denied by Dennis Walsh. Walsh, one of the great campaigners. On it goes. Barry Egan playing it outside to Cathal Casey. 4 minutes left. And an unfair challenge on Cathal Casey, who's winded. He'll take the free himself, I'm sure. Tense moments now for these Clare people. So near to a place in the Munster final for the first time since 1986. Cathal Casey lobbing it in. Trying to go for the score. Hurley's going everywhere. The ball has gone wide. Cork with 10 scores out of 22. Clare with 9 scores, including those 2 goals from 31 chances, and they're worried. The footballers from Clare did it last year. Can the hurlers do it this year? John O'Connell getting onto it, getting by Dennis Walsh. Still John O'Connell. Nicely in from John O'Connell, but just to the left, and Ger O'Loughlin striving to keep it in play.
Well, Clare had certainly had the chances in the last couple of minutes to be gone up 4 or 5 points clear of Cork, and if Cork do get a goal, they'll certainly live to regret those.
broken down to Barry Egan. Turning round, knocking it in. John Fitzgibbon. The great Predator trying to come in and set something up for Gerald Fitzgerald. It's blocked down by John Maroney. And it's still Cork who have it. John Fitzgibbon. Cork will be hoping and praying for a goal from him, but Clare will watch Jamesy O'Connor just dispossessed there by Ger Fitzgerald. A real pile-up. Sean O'Connell waiting for it to come his way, likewise Tony O'Sullivan. It's belted away eventually out towards Brian Corcoran, this year's team captain. On it goes towards Pat Buckley. 3 points between the teams. Clare leading. Barry Egan off the feet that time of Pat Markin. Comes back once again. John Russell with a long relieving clearance. Clare 2 goals and 7 points. Cork 10 points. That's 13 points to 10. Fergus Tui. Jim Cashman trying to dispossess him. Many mistakes being made, but the conditions are dreadful. Cyril Lyons half blocks it, and Ger Cunningham coming out of his goal area. I make it 1 minute and 25 seconds to go, not including injury time. Tony O'Sullivan comes back off John Tackman, reaches Jamesy O'Connor. O'Connor for the Clare men. They're off their feet all over the place here. Clare can't believe it. Brian Corcoran, they came here as outsiders. Hadn't won a championship match up to that Limerick game since 1988. They're leading this one. They look the better team, but can they hold on? There are only 3 points between them. A goal from Cork would take it to another match, surely. Anthony Daly without the stick, kicking it away outside there to the wing. Pat Markin trying to get away from all the various challenges. Jim McInerney trying to get inside. The covering full-back is John Considine. It's still McInerney, just needs to hold up the ball. 35 seconds to go. It's gone wide. They needed that one. They've missed so many chances lately. It's a nervous afternoon for the fans of the Clare team. Well, it's a real check on the state of your heart if you're a Clare man or woman. Anthony Daly again, but this time dispossessed by John Fitzgibbon. Inside 15 seconds to go, not including injury time. Brian Lowen coming across here, taking this one for Clare. The shoulder by Ger Fitzgerald. John Fitzgibbon in there, right on the end line. Whistle is sounded, free out to Clare. Anthony Daly triumphantly with the hands in the air. We're in injury time. 3 points between them. Len Gaynor, the Tipperary man, will hope to lead his side into battle against Tip at the beginning of July in the 1993 Munster Hurling final. There were those who were saying it was his last game against Limerick 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Well, Gerald's great defending again by Clare there, and certainly the Cork forwards have failed to make any impact in the second half.
It's all over, and just as in 1981, the reigning league champions Cork have gone out in the championship to Clare. We saw a fantastic display by 15 Clare men. The Cork backs were magnificent, but the forwards didn't do the business on the day. And it's the Clare supporters who come in en masse on a venue where they beat Kerry in last year's Munster football final. They make a date with Tip in July. Anthony Daly was quite superb at full-back for a Clare team who won by 3 points. The final score reading Clare 2 goals and 7 points. Cork 10 points. What a match once again from Munster.
I read in one of the papers today where some reporter, I'm not sure who it was now, that he wasn't going to come because he didn't want to see another Lambs to the Slaughter episode. And I mean, that's a great sport on any team. We came in here with nothing to lose, and it's worked out very well for us on the day.
The footballers did it last year. Did you have the incentive this year to go even one better?
Yeah, I suppose it was a great boost for us, because it was said many times in the dressing room before we came out in the field that in this very pitch that the footballers beat the mighty Kerry last year. And it can be done, you know. If 15 fell, maybe we didn't realise that until the footballers went along and did it for us.
I want to congratulate them, by the way, in a very special way, for their win today and the way they played the game. Fine sporting game of hurling, and this is what it's all about. We win them and we lose them, and I want to congratulate them on that.
Well, the conditions out there were very tough, all right. Personally, for myself, I was delighted after letting in 3 against Limerick. I was a bit disappointed, you know, but to keep a clean sheet against Cork, it's one of my ambitions, and I was delighted that it ended up that way today.
You're in a Munster final?
Well, I suppose we're in a Munster final against Tip. I suppose if you're looking at one thing, Tip have the experience, and that'll stand a lot to them. But hopefully we won't be found wanting for a fight again in that day.
We thought we were finished when Cork beat us in the play-off at the league. We thought that was it for 1993. But we got together and we had a good chat about it, and we sorted ourselves out, and we came and we got a few breaks against Limerick, and you know, maybe we had to slice it up today again, I don't know, but we won anyway, and we're still in the championship.
How proud are you of this team?
Absolutely very proud of them, you know, because a team that's down, they need a lot of commitment and a lot of determination to stay there and to keep trying, and this is what this team did. They absolutely gave me 100% commitment in training, and I can't quibble with them even one. You know, they've given everything they could, so I'm very proud of them.
Just to try and hold your feet was just unreal, and hitting the ball, even the sliotar itself was about 3 times its normal weight, and you know, trying to get direction and distance was a huge problem. But it was always so close, like that. You know, they were making as many mistakes as we were. So I knew at the end of the day a point or two was going to be the end result, and lucky enough we got the goal, the deciding goal.
The Limerick game did wonders for our confidence. We didn't know in the Limerick game how good we were. We played well and we won, and we had no fears coming today.
To what extent do you think Cork were looking ahead to a final against Tipperary and forgot all about Clare?
I don't know, you'll have to ask Cork people that. Clare were looking no further than the Limerick game, and we beat Limerick, we were looking no further than today.
And if 15 fellas are committed enough and the whole panel is committed enough, and with a good management, you can overcome any obstacle, I think. You know, if you're willing to put your leg in where other guys won't put in their hurley, you can overcome a lot of things.
You need goals to win games, and we got those. We got them at the right time, one in the first half, one in the second. We got 2 in between as well, which I'd say your cameras might show up to be fairly right too. But, you know, you need the goals to win games. No way you're going to win a game today on points alone, and that's what we got, and we were aiming to get those goals as well.
Well, a Cork man was telling me during the week that very few Cork people would travel to Limerick, that they'd be saving their money for the Munster final against Tipperary. Well, clearly those who stayed away didn't afford Clare the respect they deserved after that victory over Limerick. Well, let's take a look at the statistics from that match. Well, it's hardly surprising to see, having watched the match, that Clare hit the greater number of wides. But the gap, in fact, wasn't as large as you might have thought. 17 missed opportunities for the Clare men, 12 for Cork. Despite the difficult conditions, there wasn't an unusual number of frees, but from what there was, Cork conceded most, 16 as against Clare's 10, but generally a good sporting contest. Well, Kieran Barr has been watching this afternoon's game, and he joins us here on the programme again tonight. Kieran, Anthony Daly was making the point earlier on there about a journalist saying he wouldn't go to the match because it would be a massacre. Generally, in the newspapers this morning, they were giving Clare no chance. Now, whatever about tipping Cork, I mean, having beaten Limerick in the championship, surely Clare were deserving of some consideration.
I think so. I heard this morning on the way in, or this afternoon on the way in, that the only All-Ireland that Clare have won was in 1913 or 14, and the last time they won the Munster championship was in 1934. Or 1930s anyway, and that would all accumulate, and people would say, well, Clare have absolutely no chance. But I had a funny feeling during the week, after playing against Wexford and seeing how jaded they were, and how sort of they seemed to have a malaise. They were running around slightly in a trance from fatigue. I would say it would be mental fatigue more than anything. That Cork maybe would suffer from the same thing, and all those things accumulated, and the hunger and the passion that they showed previously. I don't think you could have written them off, and they've got minor teams. They've got 6 players from a minor team who reached an All-Ireland final in 1989. And they have a certain pedigree, and I think it was pretty unfair to be written off so badly by some of the people in the press.
Right, looking then strictly at this afternoon's match, was it that Clare were so good, or Cork, just as you said, maybe suffering from some sort of a malaise? Where would you put the balance?
Well, I'd put the balance somewhere in between. I think Clare have got a very good fighting spirit, and they've got a certain level of skill, especially in their full forward line, where they seem to be able to find goals. And combine that with a certain commitment and passion that they show, and a very, very strong defence, will add up to beating most teams. Now, Cork, I tipped before the game. I thought Cork would have won this game, but the fear is that after having had the peak for successive matches in the league final, that what can Kenan O'Brien say to them that they already haven't heard? And plus that, their own psychological tiredness or fatigue, they say to themselves, here we go again, we have to build ourselves up, and we're going to have to try and beat a team who are coming strong at us. And then when you're actually in that position, what do? You don't turn around. You can't turn around to Thomas Mulcahy, Teddy McCarthy, they were missing. And you turn around to younger guys, and the younger guys are just tired. And what do you do then? You're on the wrong end of a match at that stage.
Kieran, just briefly a word about the pitch, because Joe McGrath, the hurling coach, has phoned in, offering his congratulations to Clare, but he was making the point about the length of the grass and saying that the ball cannot travel in conditions like that, particularly the weather being so bad. What do you think about the conditions today there?
Well, I think the conditions mitigated against Cork. I don't think they favoured Cork in any way. Now, whether they favoured Clare or not is, I think it's not really a point, because Cork's type of game is much quicker, and they play a lot of ground hurling. Now, and the rain as well. I think last year's All-Ireland final, when it started to rain, I remember Peter Finnerty sitting beside me, said, this is great because Kilkenny will muck in, break ball, things will happen in the wet, whereas Cork will start to look and complain and they'll not get their control right. And I think all those factors add up, and psychologically it added up against Cork, and the fact that it was in Limerick as well. But the pitch, the grass was long. Now, whether that was a fact of so much rain that we've had and they couldn't cut the grass, I'm not really sure. But it was definitely long, and it didn't suit Cork.
OK, let's look at a few of the incidents from today's game. It was tight at the end, obviously, only a goal in it, and therefore the disallowed goal for Clare in the first half could have been crucial. Now we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to take a look at the one they got. Let's take a look at the one they didn't get, because we've had a lot of callers. Brian Kilroy from Galway, Mr. Kelly from Clare, a lot of people ringing in about this. This is the one that was disallowed.
Yeah, I think people that were actually at the game will be interested in seeing this, because they probably say to themselves, yes, it was a goal. And as we see here, in normal speed, Cyril Lyons thought it was a goal. I think the other Clare forwards are saying, is it not going to be our day today? But as we can see here from slow motion, if you follow the forward beside Cyril Lyons in, the forward, his natural tendency would be going on the line of the box. And you see he's standing on the line of the box, and Cyril Lyons is just slightly outside that line. Now, Clare people might say that was a goal.
We'll come back to that in a minute, but here's the goal they got. Now, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think this was a very good opportunity, because they worked very hard up to that stage. He misses the ball and he kicks it into the net. And as I preach, even to the minors that I coach up in St Vincent's, if you miss the ball on the ground, use your feet, kick the ball into the net. As we can see from behind this player, I think it's Tui, as he scores this goal, that he pulls on the ball, misses, and uses his foot, and it sort of squirms its way into the goal. But that sort of pressure was building up for Clare. I think that they were looking as if the game looked as if a goal would decide it. And I think at that stage it looked as if Clare were going to get the goal rather than Cork. They seemed to have the people inside that were winning ball and running at Cork, rather than, like, Kevin Hennessy had an off day. I think Fitzgibbon wasn't getting enough ball, and that old teamwork that they used to have just didn't seem to be working for them.
To me, one of the turning points in this game, or perhaps the turning point, was Fitzgerald's save in the second half, when Cork had a lovely build-up involving Hennessy, got the ball inside to Fitzgibbon. It had the look of a goal all over it.
Yeah, well, it looked like a goal because, as we'll see here, if you went back to the All-Ireland 2 years ago, that was the sort of teamwork that you saw. Hennessy catches a great ball, runs at the Clare defence. This is just before half-time. And this is the type of thing Cork used to do. Killer punch before half-time and the game would be over. Remember Mark Foley scoring a goal like this a couple of years ago in a Munster final. But that was a fantastic save at a crucial time. And then defenders are across to block the ball as well. They're not giving Cork that second chance. So defenders were across, the goalkeeper was across, and the ball was saved. And the Clare psychology at half-time, they'd be going in and saying, this Cork team have thrown everything at us, and we have stopped them. And we're in with a chance. And as you can see Anthony Daly in his interview, the self-belief starts to build up, and a certain momentum builds up and follows through.
Well, Kieran, the last few minutes of the game, if you were a Clare person in particular, was really what you'd call nail-biting stuff. Now, I want to ask you a point about this in a moment, but let's look perhaps at one passage of play that just goes to show the resilience of this Clare team today.
John Fitzgibbon, the great predator trying to come in and set something up for Fitzgerald. It's blocked down by John Maroney, and it's still Cork who have it. John Fitzgibbon. Cork will be hoping and praying for a goal from him, but Clare will watch Jamesy O'Connor just dispossessed there by Ger Fitzgerald. A real pile-up. John O'Connell waiting for it to come his way, likewise Tony O'Sullivan. It's belted away eventually out towards Brian Corcoran, this year's team captain. On it goes towards Pat Buckley. 3 points between the teams. Clare leading. Barry Egan off the feet that time of Pat Markin. Comes back once again. John Russell with a long relieving clearance. Clare 2 goals and 7 points. Cork 10 points. That's 13 points to 10. Fergus Tui. Jim Cashman trying to dispossess him. Many mistakes being made, but the conditions are dreadful. Cyril Lyons half blocks it, and Ger Cunningham coming out of his goal area. I make it 1 minute and 25 seconds to go, not including injury time. Tony O'Sullivan comes back off John Tapman, reaches Jamesy O'Connor. O'Connor for the Clare men. They're off their feet all over the place here. Clare can't believe it. Brian Corcoran, they came here as outsiders. Hadn't won a championship match up to that Limerick game since 1988. They're leading this one. They look the better team, but can they hold on? There are only 3 points between them. A goal from Cork would take it to another match, surely. Anthony Daly without the stick, kicking it away outside there to the wing. Pat Markham trying to get away from all the various challenges.
Right, Kieran, it was exciting, it was stout-hearted defending, but there was also an element of the desperation about it. Is that kind of hurling good enough to win the Munster title?
I think you'd be a foolish man to bet against Clare, because if they put themselves into that situation in the Munster final, they'll show that sort of commitment. And as well as that, I think the Caseys down in Ennis, my in-laws, young Leanne and David, will be saying if he tips against Clare, he'd be killed. He'd never be invited down again. But I think there was a lot of scrappy play, too many wides from Clare, and if they are going to win the Munster Championship, they have to eliminate the mistakes from their game. But you can't train people to put that type of passion and commitment into their game. You can't train it into them, and they've now got that, whatever Len Gaynor has put into them. And once they have that, they can build on something. But if they hadn't got that, they wouldn't even be in the final. So I give them a great chance.
Good. All right, Kieran Barr, thank you very much for the moment. And before we leave on that, let me say that we've had a lot of phone calls from Cork people congratulating Clare on their success today and wishing them well in the Munster final, obviously against Tipperary. Well, now to the man of the match selection, and a reminder that each of our recipients are presented with this valuable Festina gold watch with many extras. Well, today's winner from this Munster semi-final was Anthony Daly, the Clare fullback and captain. Well, I met him before the Limerick game a couple of weeks ago, a quiet and unassuming man off the field, and I can tell you there's nothing shy about his performances in the Clare jersey. Right now we take a commercial break, but coming up in part 3, it's Laois and Meath in the Leinster Football Championship, plus highlights from the meeting of Armagh and Tyrone in Ulster. That plus the day's main GEA results and the rest of the day's sports news in part 3 of the Sunday Game.